Hi everyone, welcome to this session where I'm very happy to introduce one of my students, Rishika. Rishika is a CAT repeater, and I can see that she's all smiles now because she has struck gold. I mean, she has multiple IIM converts and she's joining IIM Lucknow. So let us hear her story and possibly pick up a point or two from her, or more than that, in with the perspective of whether we should repeat in case the exam doesn't go well. What about work experience? What about extracurriculars and things like that? Because Rishika is an all-rounder, and she was the chairperson of her college. She used to volunteer quite a lot, which I'll leave it to her to talk about. So without much ado, let me welcome Rishika and hearty congratulations. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel really happy and excited. All my friends and everybody, they're also very excited for me. My family, my friends, my teachers, my mentors. So yeah, I'm very happy.
One thing I would like to know, from you, going back probably a year or so, this time last year was when you took a decision to repeat CAT. I mean, you were targeting the top IIMs, not just the IIMs. You were targeting the top IIMs. So how was the decision made? What are the factors, and what prompted you to take that decision?
So what happened was that last year I did get a few converts from the tier 2B schools, and I was actually planning to take it up to, because there's this thing that, so I have 3 years of work like at that particular point of time I was having already 37 months of work experience, and I had to get into a B school. So last year the best choices were the tier 2 B schools, and I was ready to take it up. So I had actually, my loan processing and everything had already started. Then I just called up and said, okay, I don't want the loan. I'll go in for repeating. And then I started working towards it. I started preparing I started July, to be honest, because June, the process was happening. July is when I actually started preparing for CAT.
What were the add-on pressures when you have pressures from the external world and then also the questions within? So how did you handle that?
Sir, so what I did was that I was like, okay, this time when I'm giving it, I want to give my 110%. Like, it shouldn't be that I was lacking somewhere so much so that I sit in the exam hall and think that, okay, maybe I could have done better. So what I did was, first off, I quit my job and I took a break, because Corona took a toll, and sitting at home and working wasn't the best for my mental health. So I first took a break. Once that was done, I started preparing. Obviously, there was pressure because I didn't have a job now. Once you start working, if you take a break, you just get very fidgety about, oh my God, you're not working. What if it doesn't convert? Like, what would happen? And so many questions like that was there at the back of my mind. But I guess you just need to keep going forward. That was one thing. And also, I was studying, but that wasn't the only thing that I was doing. So I did try a lot of things other than this. I freelanced. I put up, I helped 2 organizations with the web solutions. Then I started a few friends of mine and we came together and we did events. We actually did 2 events, and that was really good. I also have a hobby wherein I do makeup and all of that. So yeah, in the social media, I used to do that through my social media handle. So yes, I was studying, but I didn't put it wasn't just studying. I did a lot of things along with it. So yeah.
In fact, that's very interesting, Rishika, because we have discussed this when we worked on the SOP. Is that all these kind of add-on things that you do tells a lot about your personality, and this is something I would always advise students to do, and get into a lot of voluntary activities, extracurricular activities, and things like that. But one more thing, particularly learning from your case, is that if you are dropping a year to prepare, or if you are working and then you resign and prepare, don't just get into preparation only. Do things which also gives you a lot of exposure, wider activities, because you would be able to talk about that in your SOP and in your interview, and it adds value, it adds points.
Yes, sir, definitely. Actually, in all my interviews, like I wouldn't say that all the different things that I had done was asked in all my interviews. Every interview had an element of its own. So I remember, so since I was into makeup and social media handle, doing like, doing all those videos and all of it, the content, since I was a content creator, I had questions based on the beauty industry, like the latest, like last year there was this news about Fair and Lovely being rebranded to Glow and Lovely. So I had to give my suggestion on it. So that was there. Then in one of the interviews, they asked about the activities that I'd done in my NGO. I used to work for Make a Difference as a teacher. So every single interview had an element of its own, and that's how the conversation happened. And they'd ask me about situations, how I'd handle it and all of it. My last interview was where so that was for IIM Kozhikode, and that was where they asked me about my events management. So it's called the Utsaha Committee. So they wanted to know a lot about it, and they were actually very excited when I told them about everything that was happening. They even asked me what were the challenges that were faced. How did you, as a startup, find out opportunities during Corona? Like since it was a time also when people weren't putting in money for events and weddings and all of it. So I guess all of that really helps with, be it the SOP, be it having a conversation with the interviewer. And
Absolutely. In fact, I think it helps you to strike a chord better with the interviewer. It brings out a lot more facets about you, sidelights about you. They can read more into your personality. For example, one very interesting fact in your SOP is that straight from college, you decided not to opt for Infosys, which was a campus placement, but instead you went and worked with a startup, which was again through your campus. But then that is not what many people would do. And it gave you more exposure than possibly IT MNC would do. So it also helped in your SOP and interview, right?
Yes, sir. In fact, some of the best B schools, the interview started with the startup question. Like, why did you choose the startup? What were the things that you learned just because you had to get things done? And a lot of questions regarding that. In fact, so I worked as a developer, and then I worked as a business analyst. And since my company had to do with supply chain and management and optimization and logistics, and since my app, the first application that I created had to do with all of these things, they even asked me questions about all these things. I had a fairly rough idea. I wouldn't say I had an in-depth idea, but again, all of those were also asked. So I guess it all adds up. Like if you're from a startup, actually it's an advantage, because if you're working in a startup, you got to do every single thing. Like even if it's a tech solution, you got to do. Yes. So they'd ask you about it, and you'd be able to actually, like, it would be a very organic conversation that you'd be having with them. So I'm thankful actually that
I would say this is the point, sorry to interrupt, but I think this is a point that, all of you viewers should take note of, because many people who are taking CAT, CAT aspirants are worried about, whether my work X would, stand out in comparison with the others, because I don't work with a, big name company, or my company is not all that very well known, and it's a very small company. It's probably a family held company, or it's a very local based company and all that. So please remember that your role, your contribution is what is more important, because at the time of CAT application, you just fill in the number of months of your work X. You don't mention about which company you're working for and all that. So all those things you present at the time of your interview. And it is your experience, what you did, what you achieved, what you contributed, what you learned from that experience. That is what matters. And I think your experience, your journey serves as an inspiration to a lot of people. Okay, there are people who think that more than 3 years work X is too much. You have 39 months of work X, right? Okay, so all those kind of things. I mean, some people talk about, some others, not you. Some others have doubts about ACAD. Some others have doubts about, not having enough work X. All those kind of things, I think, put in the back burner, isn't it? Finally give it a jolly good try, your best try, isn't it?
Yes, sir. In fact, this is what I'd like to say, ki I would always call myself an above average student, but not an, like, I'm not one of those people who always scores about 95 and all of that. When you were telling about the past ACATs, I've had an 88 in my 10th and my 12th. It doesn't matter. What really matters is your scores for your CAT exam and how you perform on your interview and your work ex. All of this also matters. Like, just because you scored so much in your 10th and 12th, you shouldn't be losing heart. In fact, one of my friends, one of my batchmates, now she has 4 years and more of experience. She called me today morning and she was talking to me about CAT. And I was telling her, so she was telling me that she's very anxious about the exams. She's very anxious about quant and all of this. And I'm like, see, you can't be anxious and going into the exam. And that at that particular time, I was just thinking the conversation that we had. And I am now giving her a pep talk saying that, see, if you let the pressure take over you, then nothing is going to work in your favor. You can't just give a half-assed attempt. Like, if you're working, put everything into it and do it, is what I told her. So she's like, do you think 4 years is too much and all of that? She was asking. I was like, see, first you write CAT, we'll figure out everything else later. We'll figure out whether you want to go in for the executive or whatever it is. But right now, just prepare for it. Like, everything else comes like way later. Like, you can think about it. There's a lot of time for all of this. So yeah.
I had a student by name Anand. So Anand had 10 years work ex in CTS, and he wanted a complete change from that world. And he went and did a full-time 2-year PGDM in IIM Bangalore. He didn't want to do this 1-year program. He said that, I want to take some time off, learn, everything to the fullest extent possible, learn a lot of things outside the classroom, participate in all these clubs and events and things which happen in an IIM. So when he came and sat in class, he was here, I'm talking about the coaching class, that is, he was this person who really stood out with his age, but he mixed very well with the youngsters, and he went for the interview, didn't have an issue at all. I mean, there were questions, obviously expected question, like, why don't you go for the PGPX? If you have more than 5 years of work X, then you can do that. And average age in PGPX work X, I mean, not age, average work X in PGPX is 7.5. You have 10 plus and all that. And he explained why he wanted to do a 2-year MBA. And he went and did the program, 2-year program in IIM Bangalore. And he's working with Amazon. And he came out of IIM Bangalore with one of the highest salaries paid by Amazon across campuses that year, because they considered his work ex also. So people come out with all these profiling and comments, and there are a lot of gurus around and all that. If you have the will to do it and your heart says so, just go ahead and give it a jolly good try. That's what I would say.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
So that's what you did, and that's what you achieved, Rishika. And 2 years will just fly by. I mean, there are loads and loads of fun and activities which happen, and you will just love it. Keep flying high, and a few years down the line, I look forward to see you on the cover of a business magazine. Let's see. And God bless.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir. Like, this is what I'd like to say. Like, throughout this CAT journey, you've always been there. So I was lacking in the DILR section. That's why I couldn't clear the last time's CAT, the sectionals and all of that. But this year I could do much better. Thank you so much for the guidance. Your step-by-step approach really helped me. And you've always been that one person who's like, see, it's okay. You can do it. You just have to take a chill pill. So thanks a lot for that.
Pleasure.
And be it my SOPs, be it my interviews, be it sharing all the experiences with you, I'm very glad and I feel very lucky and honored to be mentored by one of the best in the city. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all those kind words as it is, and keep doing well.